Hey guys, real quick, tell me what you think about this. Now, your first thought might be, or perhaps something like, no! And you'd be right to think that. But what if I told you that this horrific children's character used to be massively popular in the UK? That's right, I'm saying this was marketed to children. People told their secrets to this motherfucker. Now, his name is Mr. Blobby, and he was a very polarizing figure. Either you loved him or you were absolutely terrified of him. Some of you, however, have probably never even heard of him, and that's why today we're gonna be talking about the entire bizarre history of Mr. Blobby. From his first appearance to his failed amusement parks being reduced to horrific drug dens, and even a straight up brawl that broke out during a children's birthday party. That's not a joke, by the way, so buckle up for a really bizarre video. Okay, are you serious, man? You don't see I'm doing a thing? You don't see all this?
Are you even allowed to film here?
I live here, dude. This is my apartment.
I don't know, man. If you don't have a permit to shoot here, then I don't think you can.
What? You shouldn't even be here.
And you literally film me too, like illegally, so.
Oh my, okay, look, can you please just give me a little bit of space? Please, so I can do my thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna call the police.
Oh my god. This all starts with the show Noel's House Party, one of the most popular shows in the UK during the 90s. It took place in the fictional village of Crinkley Bottom, which, first off... The British host Noel Edmonds would perform British skits and play British games with the British audience and cover people in British slime. People absolutely loved this show and would do practically anything to get on it. I guess it was because of Noel's undeniable charm. Yeah, I'm sure that's it. Mr. Blobby was introduced in the second season of the show during a fan favorite segment called Gotcha, where Noel would pull pranks on celebrities. They would disguise themselves as a children's TV show, bringing people on to teach their profession to a character named Mr. Blobby, who was purposely designed to look like a demented parody of a children's character. He would ruin the whole thing by annoying the guest and causing absolute mayhem until eventually revealing Noel Edmonds underneath the suit.
Do you know they fall in love and the prince promises to rescue her? The magician stops the rescue and Siegfried rushes off to the lake to beg for her.
People fell in love with Mr. Blobby almost immediately. Hordes of excited fans sent letters expressing their love for this sickly, disease-ridden freak. According to Edmonds, they got 3 post bags of mail each week, and 70 to 80% of the post bag had to do with Blobby. At that point, Noel Edmonds realized that he had just walked into an absolute gold mine, and thus what started as a dumb joke became the polka-dotted blight on British culture that we all wince at today. At the time, their response was to immediately start producing merchandise. Now, if you were one of the many kids who was absolutely terrified of Mr. Blobby growing up, you probably had to keep your head down at every store because they didn't just produce, a plushie or two. I'm talking books, bedding, lampshades, sponges, ketchup, a video game, a freaking joke book. What's pink with yellow spots and digs up graves? A Blobby snatcher. Here's Roadkill Mr. Blobby featuring foreskin, and here's a Mr. Blobby that can dry hump your finger. Wait, what? We're running out of merch to sell. That's fine. Why don't we just give Mr. Blobby a f***ing wife and child? That's right. Canonically, Mr. Blobby lays it down.
Penis-wise, that is.
What's that noise? What's that noise? What's going on there?
At one point, Mr. Blobby transitioned from a satirical mockery of a children's character to an actual beloved children's character. Personally, I don't really get it because I can guarantee you that I would have been so afraid of this thing as a kid. Like, look at him. He looks like he's suffering from like every known disease at the exact same time. But they didn't stop there. In 1994, they decided to release a song simply titled Mr. Blobby that was universally panned as one of the worst recorded songs of all time by critics. But even so, it became the Christmas #1 single for several weeks. This led to them creating an entire album of equally awful kids music, and it seemed at this point that Mr. Blobby's demographic was now exclusively children, and Noel Edmonds had absolutely no intention of stopping this gravy train. So in order to squeeze more money out of the masses, 3 straight-to-VHS Mr. Blobby programs were produced throughout the 90s. Move over, Star Wars, we've got a brand new iconic trilogy in town. I'd much rather watch Mr. Blobby run around and knock over stacks of cornflakes. Excuse me, I've just shit myself. It's honestly incredible how much mileage they got out of such an incredibly one-note character because it's just 3.5 hours of some of the most lazy slapstick-filled skits. What if Mr. Blobby tried to go shopping and he fell down a bunch? Now, what if Mr. Blobby tries to put up wallpaper and he fall down a bunch? What if Mr. Blobby wins a dating show and then gives hardcore backshots to his future wife? I'm just kidding. He actually just falls down and it's pretty freaking hilarious. Besides that, the tapes consist of a bunch of corny parodies like James Blob, Super Blob, or Schindler's Blob, which personally I find kind of insensitive sensitive, but he does fall down a lot in it, which made me laugh so hard that I spilled my milky all over my cargo shorts. There is really nothing to see here. There's a part where a woman legit tries to have sex with him and Mr. Blobby pushes her out of a window and kills her, but other than that, it's just all more of the same. Really, man? Can you have the chips later?
It's Doritos.
I didn't ask what kind there were, man. It's just distracting.
The mic's not even gonna pick it up, pal. Relax.
Can you just please put them away for now? Just for now?
That was the last chip. You can go back to your stupid video or whatever.
Unbelievable. My favorite story to come out about Mr. Blobby, is that another bag of chips? My favorite story to come out about Mr. Blobby was in February of 1994 during a Blobby-themed birthday party for young Heidi O'Callaghan at the Caesar's Palace in Luton. According to The Sun, a London tabloid, Mr. Blobby reduced a little girl to tears when he threw her birthday cake to the floor. The girl's father jumped onto the stage and punched the bulbous entertainer. Many people in the UK regarded the father, Paul O'Callaghan, as a hero for this, while others thought it was merely an accident blown way out of proportion. Now, personally, I side with the father because, hear me out, he's gross. He's scary and gross. But also, imagine being a parent of one of the many Blobby-obsessed kids in the 90s. I mean, you have to watch him on Noel's house party every Saturday. Eventually, you buy her the Mr. Blobby VHS tapes, which are now being played on repeat all day. So now you're watching Mr. Blobby on TV, you're listening to Mr. Blobby in the car, you're eating Mr. Blobby, you're binge drinking Mr. Blobby to cope. Now you can't even wash the dishes without having to look him right in his soulless eyes. Also, in case I didn't make this clear, his voice is fucking insufferable. So at this point, just hearing his name is just grating to your ears. But now it's your daughter's birthday and she wants everything Blobby themed. So now you gotta buy the Blobby cake, you gotta buy the Blobby decorations, you gotta hire the fucking guy. And then on the day of, the venue asks if you'd like Mr. Blobby to present the cake to her on stage. Of course you say yes, but then what do you see? He spikes the cake onto the floor in front of your daughter and she's bawling her eyes out. Before you criticize Paul so hastily, you have to remember, he's probably spent the past few years taking in Mr. Blobby content where the only thing he does is scream with his piercing demonic voice, fall over, and ruthlessly destroy things for no reason. What's more plausible? That it was an accident? That the cake just slipped out of his mitts? Or was he maybe doing exactly what the real Mr. Blobby would have done in that exact same situation? So naturally, you start wailing on him. The first punch was for Heidi, but the next 12 are all for you, baby. Now it's Paul's birthday! I got a little carried away with that, but the point is, Paul got to live the dream of many UK citizens that day. But that wasn't the first time Mr. Blobby terrorized someone in real life. There was one other time where Mr. Blobby was posing for a photo with the ice hockey coach for the Durham Wasps, who was suddenly sent flying into a trophy cabinet, shattering his nose. Now, I can't imagine that he did that on purpose, but it is the kind of thing that Mr. Blobby would do, so I wouldn't be surprised. I think I've made it pretty clear by now that Mr. Blobby was an undeniable hit, which is why Noel Edmonds was trying to expand his reach and do whatever he could to capitalize on that. He first appeared on Noel's house party in 1992, and in 1994, only 2 years later, they opened the doors to the Crinkly Bottom theme park.
Come and see us at Crinkly Bottom at Cricket St Thomas near Chard in Somerset. It's Britain's first TV theme park. Visit Mr. Blobby's house. See the wonderful wildlife parkland. Enjoy family fun in Blobbyland.
Blobbyland. They made a Blobbyland. You can now sit on the very couch where Mr. Blobby conceived his terminally gross child. Now keep in mind that this is only one of various Blobby-themed parks and attractions, but this is also the largest and most popular one. The park was built in the middle of the Cricket St. Thomas Wildlife Park in Somerset. Some residents were happy to see that this attraction was encouraging tourism. Others, however, prayed for the slow death of Noel Edmonds every night after seeing their beautiful and historically rich town being sullied by disgusting buildings that were covered in boils. The park itself only ran for about 3 years and was no stranger to controversy, mainly their rampant mistreatment of animals. The most notable one being the unjustified killing of an Asian bull elephant named Sahib, who wasn't adjusting well to his new home. He resided in the Cricket St. Thomas Wildlife Centre that operated in conjunction with the Blobbyland theme park. According to the UK Parliament, the local council urged that the elephant be moved to other accommodation, and that management at the zoo admitted that Sahib could have been moved to another European zoo and believes that the destruction of this magnificent beast was made for economic reasons, as it is easier to run rides and fun houses than to look after wild animals. Basically, Noel Edmonds likely played a part in inhumanely putting down an endangered species of elephant with a shotgun, but could you blame him? How are they supposed to build the Blobby coaster with all those stupid, innocent, majestic animals in the way? The park began as a massive success, bringing in over 500,000 attendants in its first season, but 2 years later, it was clear that the novelty of Mr. Blobby was starting to dip. I mean, no The guy does like 2 things. He falls over and can only say 1 word. That's like paying a ticket to see a baby crawl around and make cooing sounds. Now, even after Blobbyland closed down, a majority of the structures still remain there for a very long time, and oh my god, they are horrifying. The buildings are all decayed and covered in moss. Apparently, for a brief time, people would sneak onto the abandoned park to host all-night drug-fueled raves, trash the f*** out of Blobby's house, and cover it with graffiti. In fact, when I was looking at videos of people like exploring the abandoned park, at the end of one of them, this guy gets his friend to like dress up as Mr. Blobby for like a jump scare, which absolutely scared the piss out of me. Yeah, and many people had already been fed up with Noel Edmonds for quite some time, and public perception definitely worsened overall due to all the various controversies. As Blobbyland was steadily coming to a close, however, Noel Edmonds did something that for many would be the final nail in the coffin. In 1996, Noel opened another theme park within Bicton Park called Gotchaland. That's right, he based a theme park off of the prank show on Noel's house party. They advertised impressive wildlife exhibits, boat rides, and a bunch of other attractions, but in reality, none of these things actually existed. This sounds like a joke, but I swear to God, this is the truth. He intended for the gag to be that you were basically gotcha'd into, I guess, going to a theme park with fun things to do. But no, the animal cages were empty and the boat ride was nowhere to be found. So I don't even know how this was legal. So people who liked Blobbyland and Noel Edmonds were bringing their kids to basically visit a theme park that they paid to go to that had no attractions. So obviously people were furious and kept demanding refunds, and the park had to close down in only 2 months. I literally can't even find pictures of this place because of how fast they tore things down. So nowadays, Mr. Blobby is merely a forgotten remnant of the 90s. He doesn't have a show or a theme park anymore. However, he'll still make random appearances on morning shows or news broadcasts. And I assure you, absolutely nothing has changed. My favorite thing is when there's a surprise Mr. Blobby appearance and you can just see the absolute dread on people's faces when they see him.
I actually hate Mr. Blobby.
And then there's this famous moment from a British quiz show where the comedian Jack Whitehall recounts his childhood fear of Mr. Blobby right before they bring him on stage, and he looks genuinely terrified.
Just do the question.
So that's all there is to say about the guy. He's really creepy, and it just baffles me that a character as ridiculously stupid as Mr. Blobby could make it to the level of fame that he did. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe. You gotta be kidding me.
We got a report about a guy filming a porno without the proper permits.
This is my apartment, guys. I'm allowed to film here.
He's resisting. Send in backup.
Do you guys have nothing better to do right now?
Hey, listen, is this one of those self-suck type videos or what?